Hi. So I will start economic application class 10 ICSE 2021. I will start with the first chapter, so you can have a look at Frank textbook to start with. The first thing that you see in the textbook is explanation of what a demand is. You will see in the textbook that demand should have a few things, like you should be having a wish to buy that good, you should be having the purchasing power, and you should be willing. Let's have a look. We actually confuse demand with desire and want. Let's take a typical example. So in the market, the new iPhone SE2 is out, priced at 42,000 rupees approximately. Right. The moment it was launched in the market, you had a desire to buy that phone. You really liked that phone. You wanted to buy that phone. Fine. So that is a desire because you wish to buy it. Is it a demand? Is it a want? Okay. Desire stays as a desire because you have a wish to have it. Once you have a wish to have it, you need to have purchasing power. Do you have the 42,000 rupees to spend on it? Do you have the income as a consumer to spend 42,000? If yes, then that becomes a want. The next thing is you have to be willing to part with that 42,000 rupees. You should agree that I'm going to spend 42,000 rupees and then take the phone. That is willingness. Let's have a look. So I'm drawing a simple chart to explain to you what desire is, what is want, and what is demand, so that you have a very clear picture of what demand means. There are three factors you should take into consideration. The first one is you to have a wish. You wish to have the phone. Secondly, if you have the wish, then you should have the purchasing power. Purchasing power means income. Once you have income or the purchasing power, then you should be willing to spend that amount. Are you willing to spend that amount? Willingness. Because you have some other options. You can buy an Android phone with better configuration. Let's have a look. First one, desire. Desire is a wish. You want to buy that phone, you wish to buy that, okay, wish. The second thing is, do you have that amount to spend? Do you have 42,000 rupees ready for you? Do you have the purchasing power? Do you have the income? No. So obviously, you are not willing to spend that amount because you don't have the purchasing power. It stays as desire because desire is just a wish. The second one is want. Want, number one, you wish to buy the phone? Yes. Do you have the purchasing power? Can you spend 42,000 on the phone? Yes, I have the amount, I have the purchasing power. Fine. But are you willing to spend that amount? You'll have to think twice. Spending 42,000 rupees on an Apple phone, you would get a better configuration on an Android at a lower price. You are not willing to spend that amount. You will not part with that amount to buy the new phone. So it stays as a want. Then the third one is demand. Finally we come to demand. To have a demand, obviously you should have a wish. I wish to buy that. Secondly, you should have the purchasing power. Yes, I can spend that 42,000 on that phone. Decided. And the third thing is willingness. Are you ready to spend that 42,000 on the phone or not? If you're not willing, then it stays as a want. Not willing. But if you're willing to spend that amount and you feel that it's worth spending that amount to buy that good, then finally willingness takes place. When all three things happen to you, wish, purchasing power, willingness, it then becomes a demand. So now you know what is demand. We will start now with the topic demand. In demand, again, there are different types of demand. So, to understand the different types of demand, we'll actually understand what we studied about meaning of demand. The first thing is very simple. Demand is not the same as desire or want. we learned that desire and want and demand is different. The second thing is quantity demand may or may not be equal to the actual quantity demanded. What happens is, for example, you go to town and you think that you will be demanding or you are going to purchase 5 pencils. But when you reach town, you realize you actually buy only 1 pencil. That means the quantity that you plan to buy and the quantity that you actually buy is different. You learn it in class 12, the difference between ex ante and ex post. You learn desired or planned quantity demanded and actual quantity demanded may be different. For example, you want to buy 2 pairs of jeans when you go down to a shopping mall. Then when you actually buy, you may buy just 1 pair. So, quantity demanded may or may not be equal to the actual quantity demanded. The third thing is very simple. Demand is always at a price. If there is no price, then how will you demand? For example, you want to buy a shirt, right? And the price of the shirt is say 500 rupees. So you will buy it because you are ready to spend 500 rupees. But if the price of the same shirt is 900 rupees, you may not buy it. So demand depends upon the price of the good. If the price is very high, then what you plan to spend, then you may not demand it. So demand is always at a price. The next thing is demand is expressed with reference to a particular time period. Particular time period means whenever you demand, it is for a week, for a month. See, what you are going to demand after a long period changes. So whenever you talk about demand, it has to be, say in the market, there is 20 bikes demanded in a month. A showroom sells or there is a demand for 10 cars in a month. So in a month, in a week, in a year is very important, because whenever you talk about demand, you have to talk about the time period. When? 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. That is why we say it is a flow concept. What is flow concept? Any variable expressed per unit of time. Per unit of time means per week, per month, per day, etc. So this is what meaning of demand is. Next. Now we'll understand types of demand. There are different types of demand. The first one is the individual demand. Here I am going to explain this individual demand briefly, because I have to do a whole topic of individual demand in the next chapter. Market demand is similar. I have to briefly explain what is market demand, because in the next chapter I need to explain it in detail. Let's take individual demand first. What is individual demand? Individual means a consumer, what you consume, what a household consumes, whatever one consumer consumes at different prices during a given period of time. Actually what it means is, for example, I will show you in short. Individual demand. So there is a consumer A, one individual, one consumer. Let's just say this is the price of apples per kg in rupees, and quantity demanded is in kgs. Price of apple is 100, 200, 300. So an individual, when the price is 100 rupees, may buy 4 kgs of apple. When the price is 200, he may buy say 3 kgs. When the price of apple is 300, he will buy 2 kgs. Notice that when the price is increasing, the quantity demanded is decreasing. So at different prices, the quantity demanded by a consumer is different. This is an individual demand. What does it mean? An individual demand here means that a consumer purchases different quantities of a commodity at various prices during a given period of time. Let us say per week. So this is individual demand. The next thing I'll explain to you is what is market demand. Now market means all the consumers, all the household So there is not only consumer A now, we'll have consumer or individual A. This is what individual A demands. Let's say there is individual B, another household. When the price is 100 rupees, he demands 5 kgs. When the price is 200 rupees, he demands 4 kgs. When the price is 300 rupees, he demands 3 kgs. So this is a demand, quantity demanded by individual B. At different prices, his demand is this. If you want to find the market demand, market means all the consumers, all the household. What you have to do? Simply add 4 plus 5 is 9, 3 plus 4 is 7, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So this is the market demand. What is a market demand? It shows the demand of a quantity demanded by all the consumers, or individual A, individual B, maybe individual C, all the consumers at various prices. This is what we say market demand. Okay, now we go back to joint demand. Joint demand, joint, together, something like complementary goods. You demand jointly. The demand for 2 or more goods which are used jointly or demanded together. Example, petrol car and petrol. So when you buy a petrol car, you obviously demand petrol. Can you give another example? Okay. Yes, bread and butter. Something that you buy together. A mobile phone and a SIM. That is a joint demand. The next one is derived demand. Derived demand means the demand for a commodity arises because of demand for some other commodity. A typical example is demand for steel, that means iron bars, bricks, cement, carpenter, mason. The demand for these will take place because there is a demand for houses. So if there is a lot of constructions, flats, houses being built, then what will happen? Demand for cement, demand for bricks, demand for mason will automatically take place. The next thing is composite demand. Composite demand actually comes in several uses. Demand for goods that have multiple uses. Goods have many uses. I have taken an example of milk. Milk has many uses. What do? You make tea, you make coffee, you make curd, you make paneer. There are so many things that from milk you can make. So what happens is, if the demand for coffee increases, demand for curd increases, automatically what will happen? Demand for milk will also increase. So these are the basic types of demand, and in the examination during the ICS time, they will simply ask you, what is joint demand? Give an example. What is composite demand? Give an example. These comes under 2 marks. 2 marks questions. Okay, next. So now you understood the types of demand. What are they? Individual demand, market demand, derived demand. Then you have composite demand, etc. Now you understood the different types of demand. We'll understand what are the factors affecting demand. They also say determinants of demand. What are the factors affecting demand? Now let's see. What are the factors affecting demand? The first thing you will say is demand price. So everyone knows that whatever the price is, accordingly you will demand a good. If the price is less, you will demand more. When the price is high, you will demand less. Let's have a look. The first one. Price of commodity. This is very common. You know that price will affect the demand. The demand for a commodity has inverse relationship. What does inverse relationship? To understand inverse relationship, you should understand what is direct relationship and inverse relationship. Direct relationship means when one variable increases, the other variable also increases. Direct. When one variable decreases, the other variable also decreases. Direct. Same direction. Inverse means opposite direction. If the price increases, demand decreases. Opposite direction. If the price falls, demand increases. Opposite direction is inverse relationship. So, the demand for a commodity has an inverse relationship to its price. That means if the demand increases, if the price increases, the demand will decrease. Inverse relationship. With increase in the price of a commodity, its quantity demanded will fall. Vice versa means just the opposite. If the demand, if there is a decrease in the price of a commodity, then the quantity demanded will increase. Now when you talk about price increase, quantity demanded decrease, opposite direction, inverse relationship, this is about law of demand. Because you will learn later what is law of demand. In that you will discuss the inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. One thing you should know here about inverse and direct relationship is, I'd like to show you a graph which is not so important in class 10, but I just want to show you a minute. So I'll just show you a small video. Direct. Whenever two goods have direct relationship, let us say we have income. Income of a consumer and the demand. Quantity demanded or demand. You'll notice as income increases, demand also increases. Same direction. When income decreases, demand decreases. Same direction, direct relation. Whenever you see direct relationship, your graph will be this. So you don't have to learn. This is the graph. Why? When income increases, quantity demand will also increase. When this increases, this will also increase. Direct relationship. This is called positive sloping. Positive sloping demand. Whereas, if you talk about inverse, inverse means just the opposite direction. For example, price in rupees and quantity demanded. Let us say when the price increases, quantity demanded decreases. Opposite, inverse, the graph will be like this. Negative sloping. You call it negative sloping. Let's have a look. So this is the price. Now the price falls. It means here. So what has happened? This has increased. You are at P, now you are at P1. You are at Q, now you are at Q1. When the price falls, the quantity demanded increases. Inverse relationship, negative sloping demand curve. Yes. So after price, we have the next one. So we have the next factor of production, factors affecting demand, income of the consumer. The next one is income of the consumer. So how will your demand change when your income changes? What do you say? If income of a consumer increases, demand will increase. Yes, but not always. What you are talking about is the normal goods that you buy. The TV, fridge, comfort, luxury goods. When you buy comfort goods, luxury goods like a LED TV, like you are buying a car, then obviously when you are buying clothes, what happens is if your income increases, then your demand will increase. That is for normal goods. But not always. There are other factors here where income of the consumer increases, decreases. There's a change. What happened with inferior goods? What happened with inexpensive goods of necessities? They behave differently. Okay, the first one, income of the consumer. Income of the consumer determines purchasing power of a consumer. The relationship between the income of a consumer and the demand for a commodity depends upon three types of commodity. I'll talk about the first one, normal goods. Normal goods, comfort goods, luxury goods. What happens? Whenever your income increases, demand for these normal goods will also increase. Same direction, direct relationship, positive slope. The second one is inferior goods. Now when you talk about inferior goods, what are inferior goods? Inferior goods are low quality, low price goods, poor in quality. So what happens is, whenever your income is low, at low income, if your income increases a little bit, demand for inferior goods will increase. For example, there is a Chinese mobile phone which is 2000 rupees, low price, low quality. So at a lower income, if your income increases more, then you will buy more of it. However, you will notice that if you are quite well off and your income increases more, when your income increases, demand for inferior goods, low quality goods will decrease. Why? People will switch over to superior quality goods. So demand for inferior goods will fall. So what you should know here is that at the beginning, when income is low, demand for inferior goods will increase as income increases. However, after a certain stage, when income is much higher and your income increases, demand for inferior goods will decrease because people will switch over to superior quality goods. So, demand for inferior goods will fall. The third one is inexpensive goods of necessity. Inexpensive good but necessity good. What is it? Example, salt. Salt is inexpensive good but a necessity good. Here what happens is, as your income increases, your demand will increase. Thereafter, up to a certain limit. When your income increases more, then your demand will not increase, it will remain same. Let's say for example salt. A daily wage worker, right, may buy 250 grams of salt every week. Now, if his income increases, or if you are on the middle class, so what happens is, you will buy 2 packets of salt. However, you will notice here that a daily wage earner has increased his intake of salt because his income has increased. However, if you are very well off, you are very rich, will you demand more of salt? Since you are buying 2 packets of salt, will you buy 1 truck of salt because your income is high? No, you will still buy 2 packets or maybe 3 packets. That means after certain limit, even if your income increases, demand for these inexpensive goods of necessity will not increase. So what did we learn in inexpensive goods of necessities? Example, salt. What happens to salt? That when your income increases, demand will increase up to a certain limit. Thereafter, if your income increases more, demand will remain constant. Next is consumers' taste and preference. Consumers' taste and preference is basically about the fashions, the habit, the social customs that is taking place. You will see the demand for a particular commodity depends upon the social customs, habits, fashion, etc. The demand for which increases when favorable. Favorable means that if it is, say, if there is, people prefer, let's say, the fashion of slim fit suits is in fashion, so demand is more. That means it's favorable. So if you are having loose fit or if it's outdated clothing, then the demand won't be there, it is unfavorable. I give a typical example of fitness craze today. What's happening? Demand for treadmill is on the rise. In Siliguri, Sarkar Sports is doing very well because it's in fashion. People want to go to the gym, do workout. Demand for these gym workout stations have increased. Why? Because it has been a habit of fashion. Example, physical fitness craze leads to increase in the treadmills. Next. This one is price of related goods. How the price of the related goods affect the demand of your good. A good can be related or the good may not be related. If a good is related, then there is 2 types of relationship. Either the goods are substitute goods or the goods are complementary goods or they are not related. Now whenever I explain to you, I will be talking about how the price of the related good changes and the price of your commodity which you are drinking, which you are using, which you are consuming has not changed. Remember, the other goods will change. Let's see the first one, substitute goods. You will have to learn the definition. Substitute goods are those goods which satisfy the same type want and hence can be used in place of one another. You can use that for tea and coffee, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. The demand for a commodity increases. The demand for a commodity increases when the price of its substitute good increases. Remember, the demand for a commodity increases when the price of its substitute good increases. Not the price of your good, but the substitute good. And I have given an example of the price of tea increases, the demand for coffee increases. Here, if I give an example, if the price of tea increases, it means the substitute good is tea and I am drinking coffee. The price of the substitute good, tea, is increasing, and what I am drinking, coffee, my commodity price has not changed. Okay? So let me explain this to you. So substitute goods will always stick to, and make things simple, tea and coffee. In my example, I showed that tea is the substitute good and coffee is the commodity that you drink. I'll change it again. I can now make tea is my commodity. I drink tea. I drink tea and my substitute good is coffee. If I don't get tea, then I'm going to take coffee. My good is tea and the substitute is coffee. Let us say the price of tea that I drink is 10 rupees. And the substitute good, coffee's price is 40 rupees. Okay, 10 rupees per cup tea that I drink, coffee is 40 rupees, it's a substitute good, fine. Now you should be careful not to change the price of your commodity. The price of tea will remain the same. The price of tea will remain the same. But the price of the substitute good will change. Price of the substitute good will change. Let us say price of coffee is now 20 rupees. So here you see the price of the substitute good has decreased and the price of your commodity has not changed. You will find that compared to before, coffee is cheaper. How is cheaper? It isn't cheaper. Tea is cheaper. No. Compared to before, the gap is so much. The gap is less. That means we say that now coffee is relatively cheaper than before. First, relatively cheaper. If you say coffee is relatively cheaper, that means to say tea is relatively costlier. Though the price of tea is same, since the gap between tea and coffee, there isn't much difference, we say that tea is relatively costlier, whereas coffee is relatively cheaper. If coffee is relatively cheaper, you will say, oh, 10 rupees is 20, let's have coffee. What happens? Some of the existing consumers who are drinking tea, they switch over and say we will have coffee. What will happen to the demand for tea? The demand for tea will decrease because some of the consumer has switched over to coffee. So we say that if the price of the substitute good, coffee, decreases, then what will happen is demand for a commodity will decrease. Well, the next one is complementary goods. I will continue my next class to explain you what is complementary goods with the help of example. This is all for today. Stay tuned for the next class. We'll continue from here. Thank you so much.